Hello. Hi, you should be able to hear me. We're gonna hope that I still remember how to stream. Welcome on in. Welcome. Before I forget, because I did forget on Tuesday, whatever that was. Behold, the world's 9th greatest detective and independent investigator. It is I, Osian Whitlock, at your service. And I'm frozen for a moment because I'm realizing I'm kind of at a weird angle, and I want to see if I can help that. See, I was supposed to troubleshoot some things related to this on, just at all before I streamed again, and then I didn't. And we're gonna hope that that is marginally better. What if I... Wait, hold up. I'm gonna focus. There we go. Okay, that probably helped. Yeah. So... Oh, that helped so much. Oh, we love it whenever something actually works. Before I forget, behold, the world's 9th greatest detective and independent investigator. It is I, Osian Whitlock, at your service. Would it even be an Oz stream without scuff? Oh, absolutely not. Are you kidding? No, I mean, even my edited shit, once I finally post edited shit, it is on my list of things to do. Once I finally, it's recorded. I just need to finish editing it. I just need to sit myself the fuck down this weekend, hopefully, and just post it. That's all I gotta do. It shouldn't be hard. It really shouldn't be hard. Why is it so fucking hard? But yeah, today, few random things I want to ramble about. One I feel oddly passionate about. If you saw the thumbnail or what I posted on Twitter, you already know what that is. We're gonna get to the legally questionable book analysis. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if I'm allowed to do what I'm gonna do to, show the book on screen, but it's fine. It's probably fine. And if not, then I just take a little bonk and, yeah, still waiting for lamplighter's. But yeah, it's recorded. It's just, I gotta edit it. And actually, we're doing the next, I've got the next 2 sessions of it scheduled. We're going. We've got multiple sessions recorded. We have gotten together 5, maybe 6 times already. It's happening. It's just... it's still in the shadows. But eventually, I will actually post it. Probably. Also, I've been, edging myself looking at this drink long enough. I just want to post the critters. Oh, that's right. You have a special investment in wanting that stuff to get posted. That is true. I didn't even think about it like that. Also, yeah, no more edging myself looking at this drink. We're gonna... There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what? That reminds me. Wait, okay. Today, our detective investigates 1, a dog's lexicon, and 2, Smash self-insert spin-off representation. Okay, let's talk about that debate, actually. So, there I was in a VC with one Miss Mia Fenimore, right? Miss Mia Iris Lilith Fenimore. And we were talking about games, and games that had representation in Smash Brothers. Specifically what we were doing is we were doing a version of a 21 questions or whatever, where we were each thinking of a game, and the other person could ask yes or no questions. Yeah, the other person could ask yes or no questions about the game we were thinking of, and we were trying to see who could guess the other person's game first. And her game that she was thinking of at one point was Miitopia, to which I asked if Miitopia, or I asked, oh, does your game have representation in Smash Brothers? And what we realized is that there is actually Miitopia representation in the game regardless, because there are music tracks, but that's why in my tweet I specifically put playable character representation. So technically she still lied to me when she said there's no representation. But if we talk about specifically whether or not there is playable character representation for Miitopia in Smash Brothers, I would argue there is, and allow me to say why. It's because, to me, well, first of all, Smash Brothers. What is Smash Brothers? It is a celebration and a culmination of various franchises and various aspects of gaming, right? And to me, a franchise is represented in Smash Brothers if their core aspect or a large part of their brand and their franchise is represented within the game. Miitopia, in my mind, falls under the larger umbrella that is the Miiverse, right? Things like Tomodachi Life or Street Plaza or whatever. And why am I so frozen? Also, Lori, welcome on in. Welcome, welcome. And so it's a matter of, to me, simply because Miitopia is a me-centric focused game and is part of that franchise, Miitopia is a part of a franchise that is represented in Smash. And also because you specifically play as the Miis. If you can just make a Mii that you would play in Miitopia and then play it in Smash as well, that's the same character at that point, right? It's the Miis themselves are the character. Are these all words that Mr. Fritz talks? No, we'll get there very shortly though. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I've got this loaded up. I am ready. It's just a matter of whenever I want to actually go through that, right? But right now, I have to justify why I say Miitopia as a game has playable character representation in Smash Brothers. Like, you could say, I understand the argument that there is no Miitopia specific original content. I understand that point. So you could argue and say, oh, Miitopia isn't represented because it's specifically Miitopia that's missing, right? But to me, the Miis, I'm saying me a lot, the Miis themselves are such a core aspect of that game that you can't really separate Miitopia from the Miis, and therefore, if the Miis are in the game, Miitopia is tangentially represented as well. That's how I view it. Apparently, I'm wrong and crazy for viewing it that way. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. This is just me. Oh, am I venting? I'm not venting. I'm just rambling. I'm probably going to go on lots of random rambles today. It's one of my favorite things to do. Which, speaking of which, actually, since you brought it up, and I want to do this, I feel like as a detective, I haven't really, gone on mini investigations with you guys. We're going on a proper investigation today. Hold on. Do I remember where my magnifying glass is? I do. We're getting the magnifying glass out today because we are going to investigate how many words does Mr. Michael Frith's dog actually know, right? I'm going to turn down the music just very slightly. So, this book claims that, the author, right, is teaching their dog 100 words. You'll get the idea. Is Mr. Frith a filthy liar? Is he a frithy liar? That was terrible. I shouldn't have laughed at that. Alright, anyways, what I'm doing is I've found a YouTube video of somebody else reading it. And so we're gonna watch, I've got it muted, so we're not gonna be able to hear them reading the book. In fact, I'll do a read-along of the book with you all. And this is why I also don't know if this stream is allowed. Like, am I doing something wrong by reading or, showing this video? This is not my video. But people do, react content here, you know what? I'll say I'm reacting to this person's read-along about Teach My Dog 100 Words. That's what's going on here. And now, it's like the legal ambiguity is just gone. I'm also going to have up a Google Doc as we list each word, right? And... Yes, there you go, Foo. There you are. There's your fish. Okay. Oh, no, that's gonna fuck it up. That should be fine. Okay, so, welcome everyone to my reading of I'll Teach My Dog 100 Words by Michael Frith, illustrated by P.D. Eastman. We can't see the name, but I happen to know that's who did it. Okay. I'll teach my dog 100 words. And you'll notice, we know exactly which words the dog is learning because on the next page, you'll see the words that the dog is learning are in red, right? So there's no ambiguity on which words it's learning. The first 6 words I'll teach my pup are dig a hole and fill it up. So I'm going to write out on this Google Doc, actually, I'll make it a numbered list. How do I do that? This button. Dig a hole, fill it up. And notice, and is not red. So the dog is not learning the word and. It is specifically learning dig a hole, fill it up, right? That is not up for debate. Comic relief fish. This is gonna be my sanity fish. Hold up. I need this. I need him here closer with me today. How do I make him long again? That's not it. That's not it. There he is. Now he's long. Okay, how do I do the little like hand pat thing? I wanna pat his head. There it is. Beautiful. All right. Don't worry about where the disembodied hand is coming from. Okay, so dig a hole, fill it up. That is 6. You'll notice, it looks like they're keeping track, but did he fucking care to actually be accurate? That's what we're trying to find out. So he claims on this page there are 10. Walk, run, catch a ball. Okay, so now we come to our first conclusion. So he knows walk, run, catch, and ball. But because we already knew the word a from dig a hole, then that means that's why he's counting 10, right? So if each instance of a word counted as one word, then we would be at 11. So therefore, we can infer from the book's own rules that if I say, dig a hole and then, I don't know, dig a grave, right? Dig a, I'm learning that both times, right? Hole and grave are individual though, so that would be 4 words. That is what we can say for certain. I need to save enough points to cover the whole overlay with fish one of these days. I mean, I had the fish on over here, right? They're still hanging out. But you don't get what you don't pay for. I'm not giving them for free today. Okay, so we know walk, run, catch a ball. Okay, and then let me actually read the page. I'll teach him walk and run and then catch a ball. Now that makes 10. And Mr. Smith, who lives next door, will say, "That's great. Can you teach him more?" I don't know. I don't know, Mr. Smith. Can we teach him exactly 90 more words? I wonder. You can tell the person, taking their time to read. Oh, lots of words here. Oh, well, don't worry. Nothing here doxes me. I made sure I'm on that private browsing. You can just see I found this playlist that had this video. Don't mind that. Okay. I'll teach him bark and beg and wag your tail and shake a leg. I'm not drunk enough to say what I was about to say. I'm not even drinking. Y'all, I feel like I've got a freak inside of me. And the freak wanted to say, you know, I don't know, Freaksian inside of me wanted to say, yeah, if I were a dog, I'd make sure I'd make sure I learned beg real fast. Anyways, alas, I am not a good boy, and so I do not understand the concept of begging. I would never beg for anything in my... Also, that's very funny, because when you're, you know, as you, like, watch videos, right, if you click the number, then it will, like, go to that part of the video, and because I have it to, like, number pad 1 to turn into a dog, it went back. That's very funny. Alright, so I'll teach him bark and beg and wag your tail and shake a leg. Okay, so we have learned bark, beg, wag your tail, shake leg, and wash your ears and wash your toes, and scratch your head and blow your nose. Then Mr. Smith will tell Miss Brown, this is the smartest dog in town. Okay, so he knows wash. He already... Okay, bark, beg, wag your tail, and shake a leg. So that is our third time learning a. Wash your ears. That is second time learning your ears. And wash, second time. Your is a third time. Toes. You know, if I... If I were a good boy, I'd make sure that toes was my 20th word. And you're teaching the dog it now has a meaning of the self and not of being and not being. This dog is gonna become too conscious, it's gonna cause an ethical dilemma. Yeah, it understands the idea of, like, oh, myself. It understands my and your, right? It understands identity as, like, a concept. Alright, scratch your head. So, scratch. Then your is for. Head is word 22. Blow your nose. So we are now at, if you're curious, 24 unique words. And I feel like this dog's gonna learn more than 24 or more than 100 words, right? But there might be a lot of repeat words later on. Let's see what they say. But so far, nothing's really ambiguous, right? And I'm just curious to see the next time they update us with a little number on the side, will it be accurate? Okay. So next we learn, I won't stop there. No, not at all. I'll teach him big. I'll teach him small. And fat and thin and short and tall. That is 6 more words. Big, small, fat, thin, short, tall. So, big, small, fat, thin, short, tall. Simple, fast, easy. Why am I doing this? What purpose is there in doing this, I wonder? Like, it's probably gonna lead to him actually counting, right? Okay. And dark, and light, and day, and night. Now, I assume, because we are not learning and, right? Because you'll notice the font is different for these ones. It is yellow and white. But the intention is obviously that the dog is learning dark and night as well. Bro is going through some. Hadaway, welcome on in. Welcome, welcome. Oh, Hadaway, you missed it. We were just talking about how I need to finally get back to editing the D&D stuff. Oh, is this my first confirmation that Hadaway is involved? I don't know if we've mentioned that yet. That's fine. Oh no, you've been fucking you've interacted with the Lamplighter like D&D stuff I've posted online, so you're good. But no, so we can only assume based off of context that dark and night are being learned. So we learn dark, light, day, night. So let's see. Dark, light, day, night. If you're curious, we are at 34 words. This dog is up to 34. Oh, we've got our... That looks like that could be fucking accurate. Hold on. Wait, no it... Wait, chase the cat. So, this is our first time learning chase. Have we learned the yet? No, we haven't. Chase the cat. Climb the tree. We've learned the twice. Eat. We learn your again. That's now the 6th time learning your. Food. Holy shit. That's accurate. That's accurate. It's... Did Michael Frith actually take the time? And then Miss Brown will call Miss May. Come over right away, she'll say. This dog is learning chase the cat and climb the tree and things like that. Then we will give them more to see. Eat your food and follow me. Wow, we're actually fucking up to 43. Dude, wait. Michael, I gotta say, Michael, my friend, my pal. I didn't intend to respect you by the end of this. But I genuinely think that this motherfucker might have cared enough, or rather thought that somebody like me, fucking 60 years later, might care enough to go through this book and count the exact number of words. Oh, I fucking hit my microphone. I'm talking with my hands too much. Okay, no, you know what? Let's fucking do this. But look, we're not even halfway through the book. Is he gonna fuck up at the end? What this means is I'm probably doing this for nothing. Is doing this for himself all along. He's the one learning. Yeah, actually, for the rest of the stream, this is the gimmick of the stream. Is after this, I'm exclusively going to talk in words that the dog knows. Wait, that's a banger idea. I think I'll do that for a few minutes after we finish this. I'll teach him red and blue and green. The smartest dog we've ever seen. I'll teach him orange, purple, pink. That makes 49, I think. Not just you think, Michael. You're spot on, my friend. Congratulations, you've won a new car. No, and then Miss May will call Mayor Mere. She'll call, please hurry over here. He might not be hack writer. Maybe not. Maybe he actually gives a damn. But this dog ain't only understanding, it's learning calligraphy and everything. You know that? Yeah, it's walking on 2 legs. This dog has fucking opposable thumbs. Wait, this dog could use tools. This dog could garden. This dog, theoretically, if it can write, and if it can use tools, it could create civilization. Anyways, red, blue, green, orange, purple, pink. red, blue, green, orange, purple, pink. Okay, let's keep going. That makes 49, I think. And then Miss May will call Maramir. She'll call, please hurry over here. I hate that line. That's fucking hard to say. I promise I can read. Okay. And then, for Mr. Mir, the mayor, I'll teach my dog, now paint the chair. Paint the road from here to there. Paint Uncle Abner's underwear. But have a care, don't paint the mayor. We're putting this fucking dog to work? It's fucking doing road work? It has a job now? Is this like... Do you think the dog has an understanding of a class system? Does it understand it's being, like, unfairly oppressed? Blue collar. Else would he earn a living? I don't fucking know. Eating kibble. This is a cautionary tale. 40 is the limit. Never teach a dog more than 40 words. If you teach a dog more than 40 words, it's inevitable to fall into an oppressive, unfair class system against its own will because of a lack of understanding. Sentient enough to work, not sentient enough to revolt. All right. And also, the idea of now paint the chair, right? The fact that it's now implies an understanding of time. And not only that, but from here to there is an understanding of space. So if this dog can understand the concept, the abstract concept of time and space, like, are we gonna teach this dog mortality? Like, does this dog understand the idea of, like, something that's finite versus infinity? If he doesn't work, then he should do chores. No! A dog's duty is to just fucking sit in a bed and sleep all day, or to, like, run around and go on walks and shit on the ground. That's the last word, end. No, I actually remember what the last word is, and it's really underwhelming. Alright, so understands now. Paint. We already have the. That is our third the. Chair. Paint again. The. Road. Road is a new word. From. Here. To. There are all unique words. Right, I'm looking through this. Okay. Paint again. Paint. Uncle. Okay. Now we're at something. Yeah. Tenor detail, you mentioned it. There's a name in there. Are names words? And that honestly might be the crux of this all. So, okay. I feel like we have to define a word. Let's look at the commonly accepted definition of a word. Okay. So, reading this, it says, word. A speech sound or series of speech sounds that symbolizes and communicates a meaning, usually without being divisible into smaller units capable of independent use. It could mean a gesture or a series of gestures that symbolizes and communicates a meaning of an object or concept. Okay, so human is a word, undoubtedly, right? let's see. But, like, I'm not sold. Right? Because if I say, nobody would say that that's a word, right? And so it has to communicate a meaning, right? Let's talk about the truths of a word. Word truths. What communicates a meaning? We're gonna do that. How could I say that? Quite easily, in fact. Alright, we're gonna do this in Comic Sans, because I want to. Can I change the color? I can. What color am I gonna make it? Something like that might look pleasant. That's very hard to read, actually. What about black? We'll go with that black. This is looking more and more like a conspiracy theory that I've seen. I would never engage in conspiracy. I operate solely on facts and logic. I am a man of science and principles. I use my wit and my investigative skills, right, to solve very, very important mysteries. Like how many words Michael Frith's dog actually knows. So, let's see. It is a gesture, or I don't like that. That just says communicates a meaning. It could be a word. It says the entire set of linguistic forms produced by combining a single base with various inflectional elements without change in the part of speech elements. So the word go also has the forms goes, going, went, and gone is the example gave for that. It could be a written or printed character or combination of characters representing a spoken word. Did this motherfucker just use word in the definition of word? I mean, a word is a non-arbitrary code that refers to an object. I think names are odd because unlike most words, it refers to a single temporal and spatial object. Okay, well, no, okay, something I could say. A proper noun, right? Proper nouns are words, right? I could say a name of a place, right? If I said, I don't know, the Taj Mahal, right? The Taj Mahal is undoubtedly, like, that's a proper noun, like, that's a word. I feel like anybody would say that. That's a word, right? A name is an element of speech that communicates a meaning, so I would consider it a word. But, oh, I don't know. Okay, hold up. Let's look at the Oxford Dictionary definition of a word. A single unit of language that means something and be spoken or written. A name is, in fact, a single unit of language that means something. It represents a specific, like, as you put, a single temporal and spatial object. And it can be spoken or written. And, I mean, names can be both spoken and written, right? I'm also going to go ahead, nail in this coffin of this conspiracy, right? I'm just going to look up our names words. I feel like every single person I'm seeing, I literally had a course on the philosophy of language, but I'm a terrible student. Well, no, it does sound like they're just a different form of word. So I think, okay, hold on though. There's another complicator here though. I just realized. Abner's. What strikes you as weird about that? Abner's. That's a conjunction. Or rather, that's, you know, like, it's got that, like, possessive or whatever, right? Hydration. I got water. Cheers. Yeah, it also understands a contraction, which is odd. Right? I think... in this case, like, that's odd. I agree. Okay, I don't remember if we hear about Abner again. I think we actually do. And here's what it comes down to. Is Abner the same as Abner's? Right? So, like, should those be counted as the same word or different words? Because it's just possessive form of the word, but it is weird to have it understand grammar at all. Exactly! Right? Like, can we officially say that, I'm gonna call it the Frith dog from now on. Does the Frith dog understand grammar? I mean, obviously, if it's understanding sentences, right? Because, by the way, it's not just learning words, it's learning sentences, right? It understands the idea of painting from here to there. I'm gonna put Abner's possessive on here, on my list. And then underwear. Okay. We'll come back to that. The Frith dog is a subject that must be studied. Yeah, gotta fucking get him in a lab. I mean, this is an exceptionally intelligent dog. Look, he's standing on 2 legs, operating a tool, a spray can, understands his task to paint a specific person's underwear. Right? Like, this dog might be the next, like, stage of evolution. Alright, so now we just wait for the shaky cam to pass. And also, look at that. Look, Michael Frith, you're training your dog to be complacent. You're like, don't you rise against the bourgeois. You stay in your place, you mutt. Right? Like, that's fucked up. Shame on you, Michael. Shame on you. Then Mr. Meir, the mayor, will say, I'll make today a holiday, and everyone will come to see my amazing dog and me. We'll show them skate and kick the stone. You're having it kick rocks for fun? Jump the fishbowl, bring the bone, chew the boot, and hold the phone. That feels like some kind of abuse, right? Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We're here to look at words, right? Skate is for sure a new word, right? Kick. We're learning the again. That is our 5th time learning the. Stone. Jump is there. The, that's number 6. Fishbowl. Bring the. Y'all, take a wild guess what number bone is. He does not look happy while chewing that boot, right? He looks scared. He looks terrified. He doesn't look happy to be there. Oh no, the dog is gonna rise through the classes and kick the ladder. Yeah, pretty soon we'll all have to be the good boys serving the dog. But yeah, anyways, if you're curious, bone is in fact the number 6, 7. Anyways, chew the boot, hold the phone. All right. Oh, you know what's gonna... Wait, no, that's right. I don't have to do any kind of... Never mind. Don't worry about what I was gonna say. We're gonna pull up a timer. We're gonna pull up a 2-minute timer. You'll be able to hear it, right? How does one set a timer? All right. I'm very, very sorry to anybody who has to hear this for the first time. Yeehaw! All right, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and keep on going through this thing. So let's see. Actually, no, the dog is doing 2 things at a time. It had to get 2 jobs. Well, I mean, you know what? Maybe he's doing his best. He's trying to climb up that career ladder, right? He's trying to really work his way. He's being a self-made man. That Frith dog sure is, ain't he? Anyways, we're going to go ahead and see what the next one... Oh, hey, I know this guy. What you mean I know this guy? What's that supposed to mean? We are going to go back over here. So we are currently at 71 words, if you are curious. So let's go ahead and see what we got going on. Yeah, that's right. I already read this page. I kind of hope I get to read the next page in this voice. I think that'd be pretty fun. So we're going to go ahead and hope. Come on, turn the page already. Turn the page already. 82 sounds like it could be pretty close. Cut the grass. Shine my shoe. Shine my shoe? What you mean, shine my shoe? Okay. Hear me out. Hear me out, brother. I think you've been taking it a little too far. You're now having your dog shine your shoes for you, comb your hair, and clean the zoo, and now brush the bear. That's 82. Well, that's not all my dog can do. So, okay. 82 doesn't actually sound that accurate, but maybe I don't know how to count. We're going to find out. We've got ourselves cut. We got another instance of the. So we got that. Grass. Shine. Is this my first time learning shine? Or not shine, my? I don't think we've learned my up until now. Yeah, this is our first time learning my. So that's going to be number 75. Shoe, which is different from boot. Clean. The. Zoo. Y'all, brush the bear? Oh no, I missed comb your hair. Oh, I missed comb your hair. Oh, I thought we had just found it. I thought we had found where he messed up. Okay, I didn't write down comb the hair. Let's see. That goes right by shoe. We got comb your. We're going back up to your. It's been a while. Hair. All right. I can say for certain, first of all, that I don't have to do this voice anymore. And secondly, right? Yes, that timer did in fact go. And secondly, we're at 82. Says who? Says me. What do you mean says who? Yeehaw, everyone! We're gonna go ahead and keep on going. Making it handle the bear without any safety gear or anything. Goodness, this is a tale of exploitation. Damn straight it is. Just like all us other dogs out there, right? That's why people call me a dog so often, right? They're saying that I'm a real hard worker that's being exploited, right? I had like 10k points. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? You'll all be able to earn more points tomorrow because if you recall, based on my shitty little schedule I put out like a few days ago, tomorrow's XCOM. Because we are finally returning to XCOM. We're going to be slaying some aliens. Oh, you bet I'm going to be taking out my boomstick. We're going to be doing so much damage to those guys. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to be getting them out of our home. Fuck. Alright, let's see what else. Getting my evil prayers in tonight. Yo, did I die already? No, I think you're still one of our best units, actually. He'll tickle the pig. Who up tickling they pig right now? Hold up, that's a banger tweet idea that I'm doing right now. Oh, hold up, I should still be doing a yeehaw voice. Who up tickling their pig right now? Alright, so let's go ahead and read through this page. You'll think... He'll tickle the pig and kiss the goose! Oh my goodness! This dog's getting frisky. Dear Lord. He'll feed the mouse and mop the moose. I don't think the moose is happy about that. But you know what? I'm sure with all this tickling and kissing that this dog's actually... You know what? I think we found out how this dog's getting paid. That feels a little manipulative though, to like, I don't know. That rubs me the wrong way. That tickles me. Who the fuck thought tickle the pig? You know what? It's fine. And this is a book for children, Osian. This is a book for Okay, we've got tickle the pig. Kiss the goose. Feed the mouse. Mop the moose. Alright, there we are. This page was a real standout one. This page, I love this page. This might be the most entertaining, like, thing that Michael Frith has ever written in his life, I think. Okay. He'll toot a bugle, beat a drum. He'll stand on Uncle Abner's thumb. And then I'll teach him sing with the birds. Now there, that makes 100 words. My dog will learn those 100 words and how my friends will cheer. I'll teach my dog those 100 words. Oh, y'all gotta wait. The dog can write! Like earlier he was fucking doing painting, sure, but that dog's straight up holding a fucking pencil and understands, like, numbers. This dog learned more than fucking 100 words, apparently. He understands the concept of rhythm, of music, perhaps even art. He is capable of self-expression. I'll give it to him. Numbers technically aren't words. That's... yeah, okay, sure. I'll say it's not. Alright, I do appreciate that one of the words he knows is toot. Somehow, we haven't really used a very much. Toot a bugle. Beat. A drum. Stand on... wait. Uncle Abner's... Crazy that he learned Uncle and Abner twice. Thumb. Sing. With. Because that's our only time learning with. Sing with the birds. I can officially confirm that amongst other many other random fucking skills, and the fact that this dog is almost certainly the next step in evolution and should be given some kind of free will and not forced to be a slave to its master. But I can confirm that amidst all of that, he did in fact learn 100 words. He'll toot a bugle, beat a drum, he'll stand on Uncle Abner's thumb, and then I'll teach him sing with the birds. And now there, that makes 100 words. My dog will learn those 100 words, and how my friends will cheer. I'll teach my dog those 100 words. And now the plot twist though. And this is the part that's very relatable to me. And how my friends will cheer. I'll teach my dog those 100 words. I think I'll start next year. That's right! I lied! I knew the whole time! He never learned any words! He's just a stupid little dog! He just lays down! So the truth is, he didn't learn 100, he learned 0. That's right, he learned a big, whopping 0. That's right! But no, there we go. Honestly, there wasn't really any ambiguity there. I'm surprised. And I'm mad respect to you, Michael. Mad respect. You, in fact, were telling the truth. Your dog learned 100 words. Also, we are gonna actually go back to this, and then we're gonna get rid of that window capture so I don't forget about it. Okay, cool. We did it? Yeah, we did it. And in fact, hold up. What I'm gonna do now is I will make this Google Doc. Like, I'll make it public to everyone. I'm gonna call this Frith Dog's vocabulary. Anyone with this link can view it. Okay. Okay, and now I'm gonna oh, I can confirm it really is 100 words. Here is the dog's entire vocabulary and post link. All right. All right, so you should be able to now. I'll go ahead and post the link in chat. So you all can see the fruits of my labor. And now comes the fun part, where I'm going to, I'll say it for the next 5 minutes. Let's have a full conversation, but I will only allow myself to speak in these words. Starting Now. Wag. Me. Me. Oh, there's not. Me eat Uncle Abner. Me big. Yeah. Pink road. Cat climb tree. Cat follow fishbowl. Eat fishbowl. Me shake cat. Me bark. Me wag. Me shake. My hair. Never mind. My hair light. My hair light. Tickle. Tickle the pig. Tickle the fishbowl. Mop the road. Fishbowl. Now fishbowl. Fishbowl cut. Now fishbowl. Tall, thin fishbowl. Mwah. Kiss fishbowl. That's too much. Oh, that's a terrible idea. I'll do it. No. Fuck it. Fishbowl blow. Fishbowl toot my bugle. Tickle my mop. You know, I'm done with this. This is... No, I don't have fish. I have fishbowl. Fishbowl tickle my bugle. blow, blow my bugle. Oh my goodness, that's so peak actually. I was having so much fun with that. I'm never doing this again. That was a terrible idea. Also, what you mentioned drunk, and that made me think of drinking, and that made me think I was gonna talk about a drink earlier. I was out some weeks ago, not St. Patty's Day, it was like a week before St. Patty's Day, I think to the day actually. And I went out drinking with some friends to like celebrate something. And I went to like a beer draft house. I'm not a beer drinker, but the beer I had that day, I have to remember what it was called because it was delicious. I'm gonna message someone who was there. Do you remember the name of the beer was that I had at that event? I remember the incident. I hate that I have to say this. Which one? There's been so many. There's been too many events. Exactly. See, also something I had to say, I don't remember the incidents. That's all, but we're not gonna talk about it. Look at how much better I am now, right? I'm not like getting absolutely blasted every other day, except I would only do it on the weekends, and yes, I do plan on indulging a little bit tomorrow during XCOM, but just a little bit, not very much. I'm not gonna get carried away, so don't worry about anything. All right, hydrate. Cheers. But while I wait for a response on that message, because I want to know, it was a beer. I remember I, looked at the waitress, right? Lovely, lovely waitress, by the way. And I remember asking her, it's like, what is the most sour beer you have? In fact, I don't even need you to tell me. I just need you to bring it to me. And I fucking adored it. It was like beer, but like lemon juice. And it was, I was fucking living for that, dude. I loved it so much. And so I have to find what the name of that super, super sour beer was. And I guarantee you that the person I just messaged will remember, because they drink a lot of beer. They were there. They'll probably be like, oh, it was that one. But while we wait for that response, another thing I knew I wanted to talk about today, D&D characters. Specifically, I just want to talk about the D&D characters I've played before, like talk about their backstories and their builds and whatnot. And then maybe I'll do some lamplighter teasing. We'll see. Holy shit, my phone tracking is so much better than my computer tracking. Wow. I can actually like you can get my more mischievous side. Like, wow, I only just now really started to pay attention to that. It's fucking night and day. Like, even, like, oh, I glance over my other monitor and you can fucking tell. Wait, that's so peak. But whatever. Enough about that. Lamplighters mentioned we ride at dawn. Haraway, since you're here, would you wanna, like, talk about your character a little bit, maybe? I guess that you would technically be the first person. No. One other person has name dropped and shown art of their character before. So you wouldn't be the first, but I think you'd be the second person to show off their character. If you're cool with that. If you want to wait until the official proper reveal, I totally get that, because this is just like, a small little crowd that we've got here. And I understand wanting to make a grandiose entrance, right? Oh, how much teasing do I want to do? Ah! See, now I'm in that mindset where I'm excited about something, so I just want to share, share, and share. So that's why I'm going to share about my characters. Let's see. For a long time, a big problem with talking about this, though, is that I've usually been the dungeon master. And so I don't actually have that many characters of my own. Let's see. Who was my first proper character? Oh, goodness. Why can't I remember? That's really sad that I can't remember, actually. What if I go... I can't recall. Not them. Not them. I'll talk about this character, though. This is a character I'm so sad I only got to play once. This first character I'm going to talk about. You know what? In fact, I'm even going to... Where's this text thing here? Oh, that was from Donathon. You know what? We're going to steal this text. Osian's D&D characters. We're gonna move me. We're all gonna like kind of shuffle to the side a little bit. Is it the fucked up one? I don't know what you consider my fucked up character. We're gonna make this black. All right, so let's talk about my D&D characters. How do I edit this? Oh shit, is there not an easy way to edit it? Okay, if I copy and paste it, can I edit this one separately? No, I cannot. Shit. Okay, we are going to have to add on a separate text thing each time. Eeh. Alright, the first character I want to talk about, Breadstick. Only playing Breadstick once was such a crime. You know, we'll slap it over here. So, Breadstick. I played him... It was supposed to be a short campaign. And then it ended up being... You know why I'm staring. So, Breadstick was a... backstory, right? He grew up in a goblin tribe. He was a particularly smart and intelligent goblin who found human settlements fascinating, right? Or just like civilized, you know, folk, right? He still loved the tribe, but he always had a sort of fascination with, like, you know, other cultures and other people. And one day, him and his goblin tribe, alongside him, he's a little goblin named Breadstick, and he has a brother who's an ogre. They're adopted siblings, and he has an ogre brother named Drumstick. So it's Breadstick and Drumstick, and they're a little duo, right? And they go and they raid a tower, you know, with their goblin tribe as usual, and it's a wizard's tower. The wizard is a sickly old man who's like, they easily kill. And Breadstick, seeing as he was like the smart guy of the tribe, everybody was like, oh, Breadstick, maybe you can use this to like learn stuff about the enemy, right? Maybe you could learn a bunch of stuff from this. So Breadstick taught himself how to read and started going through all of this wizard's like notes and all of his, you know, spell books and everything, starting to teach himself magic. Specifically, he wanted to learn magic and how to like defend his the rest of his tribe while also like trying to dish out damage. So he is a war magic wizard. And one day, he and the rest of his, so as he learned more about the world, that fascination grew to almost an endearment. And eventually, he kind of became disgusted by the fact that the goblins would so frequently, like, destroy something that's so beautiful. And so he ended up sabotaging the raids of his own tribe in order to, like, protect the people. And once they caught wind of this, he had to run away from home, and now is trying to go experience the world, and just kind of, like, make ends meet through the only way he knows how, and that is using this magic that he learned. And so he's a little baby boy goblin. The way I imagine him dressed is the fact that he's, like, kind of wearing, like, tattered robes that are obviously oversized, and then, like, a really, really big wizard hat that's obviously made for somebody significantly larger than him. So, like, the brim of the wizard hat, like, covers his eyes. But, like, you can just kind of, like, see his nose sticking out from the hat anyways. That's so baby girl coded. But I mean, I love him. He's just like a little like cute little gremlin. No, I loved Breadstick so much, and I just, like, never got to play him again. Very sad. Unfortunately, I do not have art of Breadstick. Next up, let's talk about Calypso. Let's bop. All right. Next up, we've got Calypso, Telhart, Rovell. They are... Okay. I'll talk about the context of this world. Essentially, it's a lot of... Imagine the world is shaped like a circle. And along the outer rim of the circle are a lot of factions, a lot of nations that really don't like each other. Some of them might have, like, some skirmishes or whatever. There's not an outright war going on. But a lot of the places really don't like each other. And... Oh, hold on. I just got an important message. Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go for just a moment in a few minutes. But that's okay. It's literally, or not even a few minutes. It's literally gonna be like 30 seconds. But yeah, so, in the center of this continent, there is a city-state that is a No, I'm just gonna have to go for like 30 seconds. Come on, you're over-exaggerating. Tisk, tisk. But yes, so there's a city-state in the center, which is like, you know, it's a real bureaucracy, and there's all kinds of, like, rich noble families or whatever, and they kind of host, like, this council of people, and, like, that are responsible for all the treaties that prevent the world from absolutely collapsing. You have to go tickle. No, come on, give me the benefit of the doubt, right? My pig, it can stand being tickled for at least 35 seconds. Not just 30 seconds, okay? So, like, give me a little bit of credit. Anyways, one of the really, really notable families, like, noble families within that city-state, is, like, they are the Telharts. Super, like, a well-established family, well-known, they're real rich, they're, like, mainly deal with, like, wines, they're, like, a bunch of sommeliers or whatever. That just happen to have a lot of power because they're fucking wealthy as hell. And at one point, I think there was Johann Telhart was his name. And Johann was the eldest son of, like, the patriarch of the family, and was like, I want to go explore the world. I want to go see what's going on in the rest. Like, I want to see what's going on elsewhere, right? So he started exploring, going, visiting all these different nations. And he ended in a place that I do not remember the name of. But it was essentially a place where there were a lot of, like, druids, and they worshipped, like, these nature spirits and these, like, large trees that were scattered about their land. And it was, like, split in a bunch of different clans. And he specifically, while visiting, fell in love with a woman from Clan Mirden. Whose name also escapes me. I could probably find it, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I have this. Come on, surely. Her name was Yvain Rovell. And she was like a priestess from Clan Mirden. And they fell in love, and it was nice and wonderful. And they had a little child together named Calypso. Now, it's worth noting, the father, Johann, was a human, and the mother, Yvain, is an Eladrin, which is essentially an elf, but they sort of have, like, this innate connection to the seasons, and they can change which season they embody in order to, like, you know, they change what season they embody to have different effects, or the way I ended up playing it is based off of Calypso's current goals and emotions, kind of where their headspace is at. I would change which season they were embodying. And so, you know, if they were feeling very, like, energetic and competitive, then they would be summer. But if they were feeling, you know, very, like, distant, or maybe they want to be hyper-focused on something, very calculating, then they would be winter. But yeah, so Calypso was born to those two. They fell in love. It was great. And then Johann got really sick and fucking died. Turns out he wasn't really, like, fit for living out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in the jungle whenever he spent his entire life in luxury, you know, never having to worry about, you know, the ailments of the world, like, once in his life. So he died, and Calypso's mother got very, very depressed. Something else interesting started happening with, oh, Doobie, thanks for the resubscribe, thank you. Wow, I did not optimize this screen for alerts right now. That is okay. But happy 19 months? What the fuck? It's been that long? Oh my lord, it's been almost 2 years. What have I been doing? But yes, it's going quite well. We are talking about my D&D characters I've played in the past, because I feel like talking about them. So yes, Calypso, another thing about them is that whenever they were born, they had something interesting going on. They seem to have some really strong connection to the nature spirits that the clan worshipped. Specifically, the nature spirit attached to the moon. So Calypso's class is a lunar sorcerer. They are essentially a sorcerer with these innate, like, born, like, moon powers. But then they also, they took some feats that allowed them to, like, kind of dip into cleric a little bit as well. So it was this sort of holy style sorcerer, which I really liked. Which, yes, I know celestial sorcerer exists, but I wanted the lunar sorcery. And so, they grew up with... Yeah, they grew up with everybody being like, oh, you're some kind of, like, holy person or whatever. And a lot of people in the clan were like, well, there's a prophecy that this other nation that we really don't like, that when we go to war, that there's going to be a hero chosen by the gods to save us. And so a lot of the people and a lot of the priests think that Calypso is going to be that person. So Calypso, from a very young age, was indoctrinated into the local, like, priesthood in order to, like, you know, worship trees and shit, and was essentially taught drilled into their head over and over, you are going to be our divine savior. You need to like harness your powers. And they also were like, well, if your father was the heir to this really powerful noble family in like the central city, you're the heir to that family then. So you should be the next head of that house. And so, whenever Calypso was of age, the priest sent Calypso over to this school that's in that, like, central city. Like this magic school for two purposes. One, to hone their lunar sorcery, and two, to take control of that family that's their birthright. And so, Calypso was this kind of really arrogant, like, holier-than-thou, like, sorcerer type. And the school specifically was like a magic school, so everybody had to play magic classes, which was actually pretty neat. Something I also like about Calypso is the fact that they were, I decided to make them, gender fluid. And so depending on which season they embodied, I would actually change how they identified as well, which I thought was really neat. I was like, oh, that's fun. So yeah, that's a little bit about Calypso. I love them. They're so great. My little Calypso Telhart Rovel. I miss playing them. All right, who else have I played? That's another one. This one I played in a one-shot. And if this is like not interesting to y'all, I'm very sorry. This is happening just for me, and I do not care about your opinion. We are going to talk about Okiru Kado. Keep on rambling, old man? Sure thing. I will keep on rambling. Alright, let's talk about Kado. This one, actually the same DM who ran, the one where I played Calypso, is the same person who ran this one-shot. And they said, okay, it was a setting that they made for this, like, just for the one-shot, where it was essentially feudal Japan on the cusp of industrialization. And the entire point of the one-shot is that we were on the very first train that was happening within, like, this world, right? Like, oh, we just fucking invented the train. This is the first publicly available train ride. And all of our characters were on that train for one reason or another. Cool. And so it was very, like, the aesthetic of it matched sort of like old like Japanese legends, and like things like yokai were actually very important and prominent in the setting. And for me, I was like, this is the time, if ever there were a time, to play a monk. Because to me, I wanted to lean into that idea of like being this martial artist. Like I was just envisioning the idea of like, oh, we're in this train car where like there's a bunch of, you know, tables and whatnot and everything. And, like, the idea of, like, flipping over a table and then, like, picking up a bottle and, like, hitting it across to, like, then the bottle goes and hits somebody over the head. Then I fucking do a flip and, like, kick someone in the head. And I was like, that just sounds cool, right? That just feels like a martial arts movie. I love hearing hyperfixations, and frankly, the mentality of streaming should be that we're trapped in here with you, and thus, you can subject us to your whims. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me and my D&D characters. But yeah, I need to be right back. You'll have to be in suspense. Oh, it's gonna be so long. I gotta go tickle my pig real quick. Be right back. Alrighty, hello. Sorry about that. Actually, I took a little bit longer because I just fucking demolished a snack as well. I decided I was gonna eat. Because I do that nowadays. It was in fact more than 30 seconds. I mean, I told you gotta give me some credit. I mean, a whole 32. Anyways, I was talking about this character. That's right. What exactly was I saying? Right, I wanted to play a monk. But I also was like, I think it'd be interesting to do some kind of multi-class. And I thought about what I could reasonably multi-class with monk and make it an interesting character. And then I saw a very interesting looking feat in the game called, what is it, like Cartomancer? Yeah, called Cartomancer, which is a feat in D&D, which basically allows a spellcaster to use a deck of cards as their casting focus, and they can like have a spell prepared in a card that they can cast for free, basically. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So, my character, despite mostly being a monk, would say to everyone that he was a cleric. And that, or rather that he was a traveling, traveling fortune teller. Specifically, he's like, oh, I worship like some gods of luck, and some gods of luck, and I'm a fortune teller. And so he would use a deck of cards as like a fortune telling like cards, right? And so, somebody would come over and be like, oh, my fortune told, he'd like lay out all the cards and do all that, right? And the subclass I went for with his monk levels was Drunken Master, which basically, the way it's supposed to look is that you're stumbling around, and, like, you can decide to lock the fuck in and, like, actually look like you're a martial artist, but a lot of the time it looks like you're just kind of stumbling around, but it's actually very intentionally done because you're just that skillful. And, like, that's how you fight. And so, he was kind of like this really... Like, if you looked at him, you'd think he's really carefree and lazy. It's like, yeah, I'm just a wandering priest. I can tell your fortune if you want. Right? That kind of thing. But then if somebody, if he ever got in combat, he would just start, like, kind of flipping around wildly, like, seem like he's stumbling around, and then afterwards he'd be like, oh, I guess the god of fortune smiled upon me. Except it's actually just him being really good at fighting. And then it was a really fun moment whenever he's like, okay, like, enough fucking around, and actually takes a proper stance. It's like oh fuck, he's locking in. So that was very cool. What else what are some of my other characters? I'm not going to talk about that character yet. Okay. Let's talk about my boy. Let's talk about my baby boy. One of the only boys actually my only boy here I have art of. We're going to talk about, here, I'm going to make this smaller and then I'll add the text. Dregford Hufflewart the Fifth. Easily my favorite character I've ever made, I think, for D&D. So, I'm trying to remember what his intro was. I made an intro for him. Shrekford? Nah, Dregford. Is it? What was his voice? It's like, Dregford Hufflewart the Fifth. That's the voice I have in mind, because I actually technically haven't played him yet. But I'm going to be playing him relatively soonish. I already showed a picture of him, recently on stream, but I'm gonna pull him up again anyways. And for some reason, his art is really, really fucking massive. And so it takes me some time to get it up. Look at the boy! Look at Dregford! Oh, I love him so much. He is gonna hang out here. I want to adventure with Frog Boy? I'm sorry. Actually, Dregford originally existed because, you know, the proto version of the Lamplighter D&D campaign actually had 3 dungeon masters instead of 1. So that way sessions could happen frequently because each dungeon master could make their sessions individually. That was the original idea. And I, whenever I wasn't being a dungeon master, was going to be able to be a player. And that's what I originally made Dregford for. He was going to be a member of the Lamplighters. I even thought about making him an NPC in the Lamplighters, but I decided no, this is somebody who I really want to play. Like, I want to play him someday as an actual character. So let's talk about who Dregford is. And actually, Hathaway, there might be some familiar character beats here. Somewhat. Well, I will tell you the backstory as I originally envisioned it. But then I will also say how it's probably going to be changed now that it's going to be with a specific dungeon master. And it's going to be DM'd by XCOM Friend. XCOM Friend's going to run some stuff. And so, Dregford comes from the Hoffewart clan. The Hoffewart clan lives in a swamp. There are a bunch of grung, which are like frog people. And for a long time, they've been at war with the local goblin tribes. And it's been a back and forth, a vicious cycle of bloodshed and of war and of, like, it's terrible. But it's been going on for so long that it doesn't even matter. They can't stop because there's just so much hatred and so much generational, like, vengeance to be wrought upon the other that they can't stop. And at one point, the goblins were... For a second, I thought you'd say at war with the local government. I think I gotta sleep. Nah, sleep's for the weak. Nah, don't do that. Speaking of sleep, I just got a message that I want to respond to, and I don't know why that's a segue, because it's not. Alright, sorry about that. So yes, they are at war with one another. But then the goblins were winning. They were overpowering just this tribe in general. The Hoffewart only being one member, they're one family within the tribe. But it was a long time ago, one of the Hoffelwarts called out for aid, said, whatever might be listening out there, we will listen to you. We would like your assistance. And their cries for aid were answered by, and this is my original version of the story. This is probably not what's going to happen now. But they were met with a devil. A devil from the hells reached out to them, said, of course, I'd love to help you out. After all, helping people is what I do. And all it would take is for you to swear loyalty to me. And that someday I might ask for your aid. That you might have to, do my bidding and fall under my service. Not now. I will call upon you when the time is right. But as long as you swear fealty to me as my knights, I will give to you the knowledge of infernal machinery. I will show you how this wicked abyssal machinery of the hells works, and allow you to make it so that you might protect your tribe with it. And the grung, with not really any other choice, accepted. And they were gifted this incredible knowledge that was far more technologically advanced than anything they reasonably should have been able to do. And using that power, they then Yeah, using that with that knowledge and those tools, their machinations, not only did they fight back the goblins, but they completely, across generations, eradicated all the goblins from the swamp. They not only brought the war back from that terrible state it was in, they won. And not with peace, but with genocide. They slaughtered every single one. But as I mentioned, this took multiple generations. And over time, the actual, like, knowing that history of what happened in the past, with knowing that this knowledge came from a devil, was eventually lost. The actual arts themselves were passed down across all the different family members, but not the origin. And so as far as the modern Hoffewarts know, these are just things that their family just figured out how to do. They don't know how or why. And it was actually Dregford's father, who I never named, was the last Hoffewart who was part of the war, and he is the one who eradicated the last of the goblins. And Dregford feels as though he has a very, very big legacy to, like, follow. Because his family, they've been protectors of the swamp for so long, right? And he is Dregford Hoffewart V. He's named after his ancestors. And yet, to think that a Hoffewart would not be atop their steed, defending the people, and using this knowledge for good, that was simply ridiculous. And so Dregford knew what he had to do. And in fact, in Grung society, I want to talk about his color. You'll notice he's a bright blue. In Grunk society, they can, using herbs and such throughout their swamplands, create herbs that, or like more so potions that are applied to their skin that change their color, which show where they fit in the caste system of like the Grunk society. And his family is primarily like, I think it's orange, which is the second highest tier. They're essentially the sworn knights and protectors of the tribe, only under the tribe, like, ruler itself. Like, they're not the sovereigns, but they are the protectors. But Dregford felt as though he did not have the, like, he accepted his family name, but he could not accept that authority and that status because he hadn't earned it, right? And so, he purposefully lowered his position within the caste system. And now, using this knowledge, is going out into the world for two purposes. One, so that he might earn that spot. Like, he can prove to himself that he deserves to be a protector of his people. And secondly, to live up to the legacy of his forefathers, right? To go protect the innocent, those who cannot, fight for those who cannot protect themselves, right? That kind of thing. So that is Dregford Hoffewart V. Now, obviously, there's the whole thing with the devil. I told the dungeon master, I was like, hey, you totally, you don't have to go with the devil storyline. I just want the origin of my knowledge to be something I'm not aware of and have it be morally ambiguous. And it can be something that my family has either already done or something that's kind of going to be forced onto me. Also, I'm currently being called. Give me just a moment. Alrighty, and we are back. Dregford could use some fiddle lessons? Why do you... Is this a reference to something? Why should Dregford know the fiddle? Does he know any instruments, actually? I'm curious. It doesn't matter. He should take... Anyways, let's talk about how Dregford actually plays, because I think mechanically he is by far the most interesting person here. So, Dregford his class is a Battlesmith Artificer, which means Artificer is a class that's kind of a mix between magic and like non-magic, and it's all about like creating things to aid you in combat. And Battlesmith is specifically about like being right up there in the combat, you know, you fucking tanking hits or whatever, and you get what's known as a Steel Defender. Which is essentially, for most people, it's like a little companion, right? It might be like a little robot dog or whatever, right? And it is a medium-sized creature. Most playable characters are medium-sized creatures. However, there are some that are small-sized creatures, such as Grung, which is what I was playing. Well, what I will be playing, rather. And because Grung are small, they actually can mount on top of a medium-sized creature and ride around on it, like a steed. So I had the idea of Dregford riding around on his Steel Defender. So that's just fun, especially whenever you, like, he's super into the whole knight thing, right? That's like, oh, my trusty steed and I will go save the day, right? That kind of thing. And then, let's go ahead and look at the Steel Defender stat block. Steel Defender gets a reaction called Deflect Attack. The Defender imposes disadvantage on the attack roll of one creature it can see that is within 5 feet of it, as I am riding it, and reasonably it can see me. Then it can deflect attacks, or rather, if something tries to attack me, it has disadvantage just automatically. And then, what's fun though, is that I am going to be taking something known as the Sentinel feat. Which is, feats are essentially like additional little features that you can take as you level up. And Sentinel, most people will take it because if you like hit a creature that's trying to run away from you, then it actually can't run away from you, essentially. That's why most people would take it, but I'm actually taking it for the other reason, the other effect that's on here, which says, when a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against a target other than you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against the attacking creature, which means if somebody attacks my mount instead of me, then I can immediately make an attack against that creature. So either something attacks me and has disadvantage, or they attack my mount and I immediately get to attack them. Which is just, it's just hype, right? And then I think there's another element of this. So, also, one of the things I can get is something called the Mounted Combatant feat. Which, what this says, it doesn't say this takes a reaction or anything. It says, you can force an attack targeted at your mount to target you instead. What that means is if I fear that my mount is getting at low enough health. So, usually, if somebody's attacking my mount, then I get that attack, right? That's hyper offense. But if I need to make sure I'm being more defensive, and if they're trying to target my mount to get rid of my offensives, then I can force them to attack me, and then use my mount's reaction to make them have disadvantage. Which is just, that's just so cool. I just love how those abilities interact with one another. I think it's fascinating. And then, better yet, because I haven't used my reaction at this point, right? my mount has used its reaction, but I haven't used mine. If I really need to be defensive, then I can use the shield spell as a reaction, which would increase my armor class by 5. Which basically means somebody on a d20 has to roll 5 higher than they normally would in order to be able to hit me. So usually if they need to roll an 11 or higher, it'd have to be a 16 or higher, which is significantly decreasing their ability to hit me. Which is just, He's built to just, like, be this really flexible, like, tanky character that can still dish out a fuck ton of damage because of how those abilities interact. And I just love it so much. It's, And he's my beautiful, perfect baby boy, and I cannot wait to play him. I'm gonna look through my other characters that I have listed here. But I think I've really... Oh, I never got to play that one. I'll just talk about this character. I never, like, finalized their stats or anything. Alright, I could use a brain reset. Enjoy your night, everyone. Sounds good. You have a good rest of your night. You're going to miss Corvus. Alright. Corvus. He came about whenever I had the idea. Well, first of all, I was looking at the Warforged species on D&D. Warforged are essentially artificial, like, humanish creatures, right? Or, like, you know, it's usually like a robot or whatever, but it can really be whatever you want. Be wondering if I should sleep at 5 a.m.? Nah, it's fine. You're fine. This is also me wanting to have you here. I like that I get to ramble about D&D to you right now. So Corvus, he is a Warforged because I wanted to play Warforged. And specifically, I was like, instead of going the robot angle, what if I made him a scarecrow? So Corvus is a scarecrow who is brought to life. In order to not just, like, sit there and scare away the crows, but actually to, like, you know, like, shoo things away. I blame you for having my For You page full of D&D. But no, that's fun. That's fun to have that. You know, you submerge yourself in D&D. It's honestly, it's so much fun to do. But yeah, so, the Scarecrow who came to life, but he realized pretty quickly that, like, he didn't want to, like, shoo away the birds, and in fact, they were quite friendly to him. That they wanted to, like, sure, whatever, they wanted to just go and eat some stuff, and he felt really bad. Like, he could see how smart they were, and, like, he just wanted to be their friends. And so, his backstory is quite simple. He just said, fuck it, I'm befriending the birds and leaving. And so he is a Beastmaster Ranger whose companion is, like, he's got the crows. So he's like this living scarecrow who, like, fights with a crow, like, with a crow at his side. Which I think is just so fucking cool, right? Like, I just love that. Haven't gotten to play him yet, but he's a character that I'm, like, dead set on playing someday. Anyways, any other characters here that I haven't spoken about besides the last one I'm going to end on? No, honestly, it's possible I haven't played more characters. Well, that was another character I made, but they're boring. I don't want to talk about them. Oh, my lord, no, there is another one. Oh, there's so many. Oh, I've played so many characters. Okay. We're going to talk about... We're going to grab this. I don't know if I give myself enough room, y'all. Trollsy. Ganymede. This character has the honor of being the highest level character I've ever played and will ever play. Because the Dungeon Master, he was like, hey, Osian and other pals, I want to run a D&D one-shot at 20th level. I want to do a max level one-shot. And so I said, I'm going to make the most busted character I possibly can. Which, surprisingly, was not just playing a wizard, which is what most people would probably say. It's just, oh, you want to make a busted level 20 character? Just play wizard. But no, I wanted a multi-class, and I knew that we were going to be delving into a dungeon. So I thought, what could be really interesting to have in, like, a dungeon crawl one-shot? So, this is a character who whenever I tell people about him, I pitch him as Ebenezer Scrooge meets Indiana Jones. So Trollsey is a half-elf who was born to a very wealthy family, and specifically of, like, merchants. And Trollsey, he would grow up to inherit his family's merchant guild. And the way he ran it was cutthroat. He would do all kinds of illegal, shady deals. He was, you know, he would manipulate people. He would use people, anything for the sake of profit. He wanted as much money as he possibly could. And he was just an overall terrible person. But then one day, he was visited by a specter of death that essentially put the pain and the weight of everything that he had caused on others, forced it onto him all at once. And was like, you have caused so much suffering in your life. You know, once you reach the afterlife, you know, you'll live for some hundreds of years, but the afterlife is forever, and you will suffer because of your actions unless you change. And Trollsey decided in that moment that he was going to turn his life around. The Spirit of Christmas House Story. I mean, I told you, like, very Ebenezer Scrooge-esque in that sense, where he was like, you know what? I am going to turn my life around. And it wasn't, I'm going to go do good. It's, I'll just be better. But the main thing is, I'm going to go someday, right? I'm going to spend the rest of my existence in the afterlife. I only have so much time on this world, so I might as well see it all. So, he, just kind of left one day. I like to imagine he had a wife and kids and everything, and he just didn't even tell them that he was leaving. He didn't tell anyone. He was just left. And, like, maybe some people kind of, like, know what he's up to nowadays, but for a long time, he just, like, bought a bunch of expensive, like, adventuring gear and just started going around. And then for a long time, he was just going on random quests, going into dungeons, sightseeing, trying to find, like, cool artifacts and whatnot. And then, eventually, this really mysterious dungeon, I won't go into the story of the one-shot, this super mysterious dungeon showed up out of nowhere. It, like, wasn't there before, and it literally appeared out of thin air. And he's like, oh, you bet you fucking bet I'm getting my grummy hands on this, right? And the way I played him, he had 13 levels in Rogue and 7 levels in Ranger. So he was a 20th level character. And the Dungeon Master allowed us to take what's called an epic boon, which is essentially like an extra feature that you can get, but only for really strong characters, and epic boons are absolutely busted. Also, I'm going to turn the music up slightly. So, the epic boon that I picked is called the Epic Boon of Skill Proficiency, which means that basically any skill in the game, I knew how to do it. Like, I added my proficiency bonus to it. And as a 20th level character, that means I was adding a +6 to every roll. But then, also, I get to add my ability modifiers, right? And with the exception of my strength, I think all my ability modifiers were a +2 or higher, so that's a +8 to every roll. But then it gets better. Because I, as a rogue, a 10th level rogue, had a feature known as unreliable, oh my lord, no, called Reliable Talent. Unreliable Talent is crazy. Reliable Talent. Reliable Talent says if you have proficiency in a skill, then that means that if you roll anything below a 10, your roll is treated as if you rolled a 10. So now, I'm getting a +8, and if I roll anything below a 10, it's at least a 10, plus an additional 8, which means at minimum, I was rolling an 18 on everything. It was physically impossible for me to roll lower than an 18. But then, it gets better. Because as a ranger and a rogue, I get expertise. Expertise means that +6 proficiency bonus I mentioned before, you double your proficiency bonus for those rolls. I also made sure to take feats that gave me additional expertises. So for like 5 of my skills, instead of adding a... Also, Aqua, welcome on in, welcome. I've learned so much from One Piece D&D, not gonna lie, I would know fuck all otherwise. I mean, hey, however you learn, right? However you learn. Just because it's in One Piece doesn't mean it's not any less D&D, right? But yes, so that means if I had expertise in a skill, then that was a 6 plus an additional 6 because of expertise, plus at least, I think I had a +4 in like my important modifiers, so that's 6 plus 6 plus 4, that is now a 16. And I cannot roll lower than a 10, which means, for the skills I had expertise in, it was physically impossible for me to roll lower than, or rather get a total lower than 26. But wait, there's more. Because I got a magic item called, what is it? It's the Lantern of whatever, which basically says that I had advantage on all of these rolls, which means that instead of rolling once, I rolled twice. So just to make sure, right, I statistically was going to roll higher than I did every single time, which means that it was a statistical, not anomaly, right? But it was uncommon for me to roll anything lower than a 26, and more often than not, more than 50% of the time because of advantage, I was getting higher than a 26. And all of this is just talking about the character mechanically outside of combat. But it turns out, if you take Phantom Rogue and take, Monster Hunter, or I think Monster Slayer Ranger, both of those classes are designed in such a way that you can stack a bunch of additional effects on one enemy before attacking them to make your attack deal as much damage as possible all at once. And so I ended up rolling, it was not uncommon for me to just attack a creature once and roll over 100 damage. And then that's neglecting the fact that he was dual wielding his weapons, and was able to attack 4 times in a turn. So it got really fucking ridiculous. Anyways, how that adventure ended up ending, right? At the bottom of this dungeon that Trollsy and friends were going through, one of my 2 D&D characters died of burning hands. The monster sure was a hunter. Well, yeah, that was your paladin you mentioned, right? We're gonna talk about my paladin next. My paladin is gonna be number 7 on the list. Man, I have a lot of D&D characters, I've realized. Because I'm not even gonna talk about all of them. I'm just gonna talk about the ones I feel like. And the ones that I can remember. And then you also have to realize that a good 90% of my experience in D&D is being a dungeon master. So, man, I played this game too fucking much. Because that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing. I'm going through, seeing if I can find any other character sheets potentially. I've made so many character sheets as well, just helping other people and such. I'm looking through this real quick, and then we'll talk about how that adventure ended. Nothing there. Alright, unless there's a character sheet here, this is probably all I'm going to be able to find. Alright, that's all I can find. Okay. So, Charles' story. Let's see how it ends. At the bottom of that dungeon that we were exploring, we ended up finding some kind of divine artifact that belonged to... In this world, there was a trinity of gods that oversaw everything. Or so everybody thought, because apparently there was a fourth evil god that was, like, banished. And what we found at the bottom of that dungeon that appeared, which was actually secretly a vault trying to keep this artifact away from the world, was a crown that belonged to that fourth evil god. And the other two players, or the other two characters that were in that one-shot, were like, oh, we could try to use this for good. We could try to take this for ourselves. And, like, think about how much pain is in the world. And if we had the power of a god, imagine what we could do with it, right? And if some people have to die to get us there initially, that's fine. We could just resurrect them. And it slowly kind of devolved into, well, we can choose who lives and who dies in that world, and we can create a utopia. We can create a paradise with this power. And Trolsey was not fucking buying that. It's worth noting that during the boss fight of this, the boss used the 9th level spell on Trolsey called Time Ravage, which says, you target a creature you can see within range, putting its physical form through the devastation of rapid aging. The target must make a con saving throw, yada yada yada. If the save fails, the target also ages to the point where it only has 30 days left before it dies of old age. In this aged state, the target has disadvantage on everything, basically. Only the Wish spell or the Greater Restoration spell cast with a 9th level spell slot can end these effects and restore the target to its previous age. I got hit with that, and so Trolsey was basically an old shambling man by the end of this, though. Mind you, he never took damage, besides taking the damage from that one time, but he got hit with that effect. And so all the characters are there talking about what to do with this crown. And he tells them, like, I'm warning you, you're not going to use this power. This power will use you and corrupt you. You will no longer be the one in control. And as long as you accept that, I won't stop you. But I need you to know I warned you. And they accepted the warning. But Trolsey, seeing that they were still, knowing that warning, still willing to take that power, decided he didn't want anything to do with them. Despite the fact that they would have been able to cast the Wish spell on him. They knew Wish. They could have saved him and still had a 9th level spell slot. And yet, Trolsey chose to just walk away. And in his last 30 days after the one-shot, what he spent his final days doing was he went back to the rest of his wealth in order to create a dungeon that has fail-safes in case those two, his former party, ever turns evil. And so the dungeon master of that one-shot told me that someday he wants to run a campaign where those two characters who turned evil or like got that crown are like the main antagonists. And the idea is that those characters that are in that campaign would someday stumble upon the dungeon that Trolsey created in order to get the tools necessary to fight the antagonists. Which I think is just so cool. Like, oh, it's so cool. I loved how his story ended. It was just such a nice little ribbon. Anyways, we've got 2 more to talk about. And after this, then we're calling it. But, man, I'm fucking rambling. Next up is another boy I absolutely love. We're going to talk about my paladin. Also, I'm going to read this message. I do remember trying a historical figure campaign and one guy picked Napoleon and had a crash out, so he never did more than 1 session. How does a How does a historical figure campaign work? Also, time to talk about Jan Valise. Jan Valise. So, something you'll notice is like a lot of my characters, I tend to actually make them quite nice and like cheery for the most part. But they also usually have some level of like wisdom to them. Right? Like someone like Corvus is specifically supposed to be like very like wise and calm and peaceful, right? He's a sort of like gentle giant. I mean, he's not very big, but like that kind of archetype, right? Or Dregford, he's like all about heroics, but he's still like very intelligent, and he still like knows how to make all these crazy like insane machinations and whatnot. Calypso was literally going to a school. Breadstick was all about his intelligence, right? He was a wizard. Okiru, like Kato, he kind of was supposed to seem like a little bit of like a bumbling fool at times, but that was also part of his bit, right? That was his act to throw people off guard. And Trollsey, playing Trollsey was so nice because it meant that I didn't ever feel like I was metagaming. I could basically throw out any theory and use all of my knowledge as a dungeon master, but as that character, like, oh, this is my hypothesis of what's going on, this and that, and it just was in character. Like, that's just who he was. Jan Valise is a fucking idiot. He is pure himbo energy. I wanted him to be like a golden retriever himbo. Like, somebody like Dregford, I think, is too smart to be a himbo. But Jan, he's the kind of guy to walk into a cave, see a bunch of gold on the wall, rip it out of the wall, bite it, and be like, yeah, that sure is some real gold. That sure is. He just like Beaver. Yeah, no, I absolutely loved playing Jan Valise. With him, the setting that this was in was supposed to be very, like, historical, accurate, like, feudal medieval society. Jan was born into a noble family. I'm noticing I play a lot of nobles. I mean, I just like snooty noble types. But in this case, Jan was not a snooty noble. Because if you look at real-world feudalism and just the idea of the social contract in general, the idea is that the Lord Protector of a realm would be responsible for, like, you know, they take taxes and they manage everything in return for protecting the people and providing services, right? The role of a leader is to serve their people. Jan very much took this to heart. So much so that as a paladin, paladins take their oaths, and his oath is the idea of the social contract of a lord to protect his people. He was an oath of the crown paladin, who is all about, he was born into this noble family, and at my duty as a noble is to aid people. And that, his belief in that is what gives him his paladin abilities. And he, from a very young age, he's the eldest son of his family, and he was kind of raised to take over his family someday. But he was just never really into it. He could never really, like, figure out the words. I like to imagine, you know what, it's canon now that he's dyslexic. Like, he really struggled with that kind of thing, and it just wasn't for him. He could never wrap his mind around it. But he was exceptionally skilled at dueling. His weapon of choice is a rapier. He would use a rapier and buckler. And he loved dueling from a young age. And his younger brother continued to encourage him. Be like, yeah, I love how honorable you are and chivalrous you are. I think, you know, what you're doing is amazing, right? His brother was also secretly hoping that, you know, he could convince Jan to leave someday. And you know what? He was successful because Jan eventually was like, fuck you, Dad. I don't think you're... Or he was like, I believe, as our duty of nobles, that it is our purpose to protect the people, and yet you squander our legacy and our status by using their, you know, using their wealth for your own purposes. Like, Except that sounds too smart for Jan. It was more like this kind of thing. I very much leaned into him sounding a little bit Western, which I know, but then I also kind of went like a bit of an Australian at times. It's weird how those voices kind of tend to blend with me every now and again. I'm realizing I was doing the same thing during Wilderness just the other day as well. But yeah, so this kind of thing, and you know what? The fact that he sounded like that was totally in character too, because he probably was inconsistent with it. He no talk no good. So he decided, no, I'm not going to sit by while my father is over here not doing a Lord's purpose. And so he went out into the world to actually do what the Valise name is meant for, right? And to use his resources as a noble to aid people. And he was a precious little himbo boy, and I love him so much. And now, because I do want to go to sleep soon, actually, because I do have work tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the character where this last weekend I got to play as a character. I like had people over, and you know, we started a new campaign. So we are now going to talk about Minerva. This is my latest character, who I am, and the only one who I am actively playing, right? Like, if I had the chance to play somebody like Breadstick again, or like play Corvus, I absolutely would. But like some characters, I feel like, unless the specific campaign that they were attached to continues, I just can't do it. Like, I couldn't play, you know what, can I like draw? No, I don't think I can. Like, I couldn't play as... I'll make these ones red. Oh, the red looks terrible. I'll make them maybe a darker red. That's better. Like, I couldn't ever play as Calypso or... Like, Kato existed in a very specific setting, right? Trolsey, I'm not going to be able to play again. And that. So, Dregford, I feel like is going to have that same sort of status someday. But I need to actually, you know, get to play as him first. But Corvus, Breadstick, I want to play as them again someday. But Minerva has the honor of being the only person I'm actually playing. Here, I'll make Minerva. That green does not pop up. There. Yippee! So, let's talk about her. Minerva was born in this world's equivalent of the Underdark. She was a dark elf. And she was just kind of living her life, you know, with a loving family and everything, stable home. And she quickly learned something in life, though. A very important lesson. She could just hit people real hard to get what she wants. If she wanted something, she could just take it. She was big enough. She was strong enough. She was real, you know, big-boned lass. So, fucking, why not? She could totally take it. So that's what she would do. And she did that for, you know, her youth and her early adulthood. And eventually her family was like, hey, you're acting like a bitch. Leave. So she's like, you know what? Fuck you, mom and dad. I didn't like you anyways. I'm gonna go do my own thing. So she left home and she heard about a bandits tribe in the area and decided, you know what? Hell yeah, that sounds more like my style. She joined up with them and she proved her strength to them. I imagine like there was some sort of initiation where she like beat some of them up. She's like, I'm in and you don't have a choice. I'm joining you. And they're like, you know what? We admire your tenacity. So she joined that for a while. And she very, very quickly gained a reputation. She was vicious whenever they would go on their raids and whatnot. She did not matter who she was killing. She would take whatever she wanted. But she was also very, very honorable in the sense of she would follow the code of honor that the bandits followed. They had a strict set of rules that, you know, they all abided by. And she was 100% like, I'm going to follow these rules. And in fact, she gained such a reputation for being vicious, but also fair, that she was appointed as the tribe's judge. So anytime somebody would break a rule, or potentially broke a rule, she would be the one to oversee their trial within the tribe, and to decide what their punishment would be, if any at all. To the point where she eventually gained the moniker of the Crimson Judge. Because she, you know, being a dark elf, you know, had the gray skin and the white hair, but she had these, like, bright red eyes. So she was Minerva, the Crimson Judge. And one day, they were on a raid, and one of their companions... So Minerva was very close to somebody in her tribe named Diana. And during one of the missions, one of the other tribe members abandoned Diana, which led to her death. And this pissed Minerva off to the point where afterwards, whenever they were all gathering back together, Minerva, in a fit of rage, just straight up murdered the other tribe member to avenge Diana. And that was in complete, like, everybody saw it. It was in front of all of them, and it completely broke the very first rule that they all followed, that you do not kill another tribe member. And so, there wasn't even a trial, right? They just decided her punishment. And it was decided that she would go to a place known as the Final Shade. I mean, they were in the Underdark, which is essentially a series of caves all underground. But this place, the Final Shade specifically, was known for being the darkest pit of all of the Underdark. And that anybody who enters is guaranteed to die. You know, it's a legendary place with no legends from those who return. Only those who saw those who entered. And she, after calming down, accepted her fate, realizing, I did break the rule. And, you know, it's only fair. So she yes, she regretted her action, but she also felt complete in the fact that Diana was avenged, and decided, I can die. So, she entered the Final Shade, but rather than dying, something attached itself to her. She felt like she was being watched, and eventually, that something became a part of her. And unlike every other person who had ever entered, she became the first person to leave the Final Shade. But now she was warped. She was no longer our dark elf. Her gray skin had become completely deathly pale, and her white hair blackened to a raven black. Her elven features warped ever so slightly, to the point where she's slightly uncanny to look at. She became a Shadar Kai, an elf in between life and death, in a sort of liminal state. And she realized that her punishment was not to die, but to enter the Final Shade, and that she had paid her penance, that her punishment was over, and she could have her life back again. But she didn't really know what to do with it, so she decided to just become a private mercenary, or like a mercenary, not private, but a mercenary to whoever would hire her, and the adventure starting with her hired to go adventure. And so that is Minerva. She is a level 3 ancestral guardian barbarian. And so the way that ancestral guardian works is that whenever she rages as a barbarian, she can create like the spirit that goes and like does stuff in combat. And the idea here is that this thing that attached to itself to her takes the form of like a raven that is, turns out I like ravens between Corvus and Minerva. Well, I guess Corvus is crows, but still. But yes, so there's a raven that manifests that takes the form, or like it looks like a sort of like cloudy, stormy mist, vaguely in the shape of a raven that flies around and does all of these effects. And as she levels up, she's going to get more magical effects like that. As a Shadar Kai, she can like teleport around as well. And I like to imagine that she, for a moment, turns into a mist before she disappears and appears elsewhere, and like a, you know, the same mist appears elsewhere. And then as I take feats as well, it's just gonna be so cool. And the way that she fights, rather than being a typical physical barbarian, is she is actually a ranged barbarian who fights exclusively with javelins. The reason why I had to make it javelins is because I needed a strength-based weapon, but I wanted it to be from range. Bows and such, originally I was going to go with a longbow, but it turns out bows don't actually work very well for a barbarian, because so many of their features specifically say strength, and bows use dexterity. But javelins, a ranged weapon, do use strength. And so the way she fights is just fucking throwing a bunch of javelins. And it's just, oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. I love it so much. And yeah, we just started that adventure. And we've got some sessions coming up. And I'm so excited. Woo! That said, I'm done rambling. I'm done rambling for now. We can delete all this. We can... Goodbye, my characters. Goodbye, Dregford. So let's... Can I select all these at once? There we are. Alright, aw. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We can talk more another time, alright? And you know what? Maybe for you, Hathaway, specifically, I might be more willing to talk about the campaigns I've been a Dungeon Master for. You can hear about those some more. But that'll be like an off-stream thing, I think. I've noticed that me saying methinks has become so ingrained in my actual, like, vocabulary that saying I think was strange. Like, I genuinely, unironically now say methinks. You know what? Let's not worry about that. And instead, we're gonna find who we're gonna raid into, because I'm done. No more rambles. I've got nothing else to ramble about tonight. I've been talking about D&D characters for, I don't know, a fucking hour or so. However long. Let's move me back a little bit. And now... Let's find somebody to raid into. That was my voice. Yikes. Silas is live. We're raiding into Silas. Alright. So, thank you all so much for joining tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. And... Clone, welcome on in. You are joining literally as I'm getting ready to... Yeah, as I'm raiding. Yeah, exactly. You got the memo. Hi, bye. Exactly. But you're welcome to watch the VOD. We talked about dogs and D&D and Metopia and a lot of other things. I can't exactly remember everything. But we are going to go see what Silas is up to. Thank you all so much for stopping by. But for now, we're going to go ahead and consider this case closed. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. I will see you all tomorrow for XCOM. It's coming back. Get your channel points ready. There's going to be gambling. There's going to be drinking. There's going to be death. There's going to be debauchery. It's going to be a lovely time. There's going to be an open VC. So let's see what kind of hijinks we get up to. Should be an absolute treat. Should be fucking a little party going on. So this is kind of the calm before the storm. Take advantage of it while you can before things get hectic. Have a lovely night, everyone.